Hello and welcome to Motivation to Study. Now we are going to see playing with exams. Exams is something that can create a stress, but the attitude to exams has to be like a playful thing. Think about it like a game of strategy. When I used to think about my exams, especially when I was in the Open University, it was like something to plan. That was like a game. It was like, well, how can I do to win this? How can I play in a way that I can maximize my time, my knowledge, etc. You have to maximize the use of your resources, friends, materials, past knowledge, time, etc. I mean, you can find information with your textbooks, but sometimes you can find information in other books that maybe they are more interesting to read, in bookshops, libraries, magazines. You can find information in online, in encyclopedias online, or you can find information in YouTube. You can have also some knowledge from other subjects that maybe could be included. So you have to think all these things, also about the motivation you have, maybe friends that you have that know about the topic. So it's like you have to think, well, how can I do the best of my resources? You have to make decisions about the time you are going to use doing specific activities. This means that maybe you decide, well, in half an hour I'm going to do a glossary of concepts, a list of concepts that are in this topic, which are the concepts I have to learn. Or I'm going to do the headings, which type of headings are in this type of thing. Start finding out what type of exam is, where, when, which material is included, etc. It's very different if you know that a type of exam is with long answers, short answers, or test, ABC, then this can help you to know how to prepare for it. Maybe you study more detail depending how it is, or maybe you study more like for long answers. To know also where and when and which material is included will help you to start preparing, to start getting confident about when you have to go, what you have to do, exactly the material that is included, etc. Make a plan about what to do each day or each 30 minutes without overstretching yourself. I mean, it is important to have like a type of weekly timetable where you can put where are the times where you are going to dedicate for learning to prepare this exam without overstretching yourself. So you know when you can have rest, when you can have a study. Maybe sometimes, in my case, for example, I feel better in the mornings early because I have slept and I feel fresh. Also think how to combine your daily activities to make the most of it. I mean, as I said before, maybe I feel fresher in the morning. However, what is important is not to have just 20 hours studying. It's like you have to combine maybe physical activities with mental activities, activities to concentrate, activities to relax, so you can have a break. If you have to, for example, maybe to do some cleaning at home, maybe you can start studying, later you dedicate some time to do the cleaning, and later you continue studying, so your mind can have a rest. Think how to use the time to prepare for the type of exam. If it is about maths, etc., you might need to learn some formula, understand them, do some examples in which you can think about the different possibilities of problems, etc. Basically, I mean, this is just like an advice about general about exams. It's very different how you prepare for an exam, for example, of history than for an exam of maths. In an exam of maths, there will be theories, there will be formula, there will be the components of each formula, which units, and problems in which you have to use formulas that you need to know that in some cases which variables they are to be found and which data is given. At the same time, what does it mean, each of these data? So yeah, learning about all this is what gives you to understand the idea of what type of problems you can have. Think about how much time you have and what is best for you that you can do to process learning materials which you need to memorize. Yeah, according to the time that you have, you can decide how much you want to learn from each of the topics, headings or subheadings. I mean, you can decide what do you think that is best so that you can have the best result. Sometimes maybe there are things that they are easier for you and you decide, well, I want to concentrate in this because at least I know that this one is easy for me to learn quick. So it's up to you. Do mock tests to practice. I think this is very important. If you have tests that you can find online or tests that have been done the last year, that is good for two ways. On one side, because it gives you an idea of what type of questions and you have to study for. So this means that if you know the questions that they are asking you, you can prepare for this type of questions, not only for the content of the questions, but for the type of questions, the length, etc. At the same time, when you have already studied, you can use these mock tests to test your knowledge, to see how you practice answering them, especially if they are tests that you haven't seen them. So it's like a good practice. Revise gradually every time you learn something new. Yeah, this is connected to what we saw before, and it's like, for me, it's important that everything you are learning new things, before learning a new thing, you have to make sure that you revise what you have learned so far, so you know everything, and it's just like adding up, but not like you learn something else and then you have forgotten what you did before, because that also can happen. So it's important that you revise gradually, constantly, and then every time that you revise, you can add more things. But before, once that you have learned a new thing, make sure that you revise all the thing before when you add this thing. Learn all the headings, subheadings, concepts, and get deeper when you have learned the main things. Learn the main things so that you know about everything before going in depth. This is a little bit what we were saying before. Make sure, in this case, I used to use it, for example, when preparing for exams of a lot of topics, that maybe I learn all the headings and subheadings of each of the topics before going deeper into the concepts, etc. So I know that I know a little bit of all the topics, all the chapters, etc. And then the more time I have, the deeper that I go in each of the chapters. But that ensures me that I have knowledge about everything. And since the beginning, that gives you a little bit of confidence that you know all the things a little bit, and you are just increasing the knowledge. When in the exam, plan in the beginning how much time you have for each question, in which order you are going to do them. I used to start with the easier ones first. For example, imagine that you have 3 hours to do an exam, and you have 5 questions, and you have to choose which questions to do each time. Maybe since the beginning you can decide how much time you are going to spend in each question, so that you can check if you are on track while you are answering, or you have to rush up, or maybe you have plenty time and you don't need to worry. But it's important to think also about which ones to answer first. For example, in my case, I used to answer first the easier ones because it was easier for me, and then I didn't have to spend much time thinking how to answer. However, the ones that maybe I find them more difficult, then it's good for me to leave them for the end, because I can spend more time planning how to answer them. It's important to plan how to answer questions, because sometimes maybe you don't know exactly how to answer, but when you start thinking about the knowledge, the things that you know, could be from this subject or from other subjects, you can find things that you can include. And last, in exam, it's important that maybe you can have a rough paper, so that in a paper you can plan in a draft how you are going to answer the question, the ideas, so that you can write a narrative that answers the question appropriately. In this rough paper, you wouldn't write all the answer, but maybe you will write the order in which you are answering, how is organized the answer, so that it's in a logical way that answer the question properly. Thank you very much.